So, okay. So, um, I think a lot of you all already know me. That is the power of email because you have signed up to my email list already. So if you do, um, so if you have already subscribed to my email list, there's really no point in me waffling on for ages about myself, because you probably already know. But the key thing to tell you at the moment is I am a travel email copywriter. I help small travel businesses write great emails to get more bookings, build relationships, and connect with their guests. I'm also the creator of the Golden Inbox. That's a 12-week email writing program that kicks off in September. So, what we're going to not be doing today, just I don't want to waste your time. I'm very happy that you've all turned up as it is. So, this is what will not be happening. I'm not going to be dishing out AI prompts. I'm not going to be sharing templates for you to kind of copy and paste as appropriate. My goal is actually to make inboxes more delightful places to be, not the opposite. So we're here to think about how you can write an email with your heart and your mind and all the amazing experience you've got as travel professionals. So we're not going to be working with either of these things. Oh, and you also will not get pitched to, because yeah, this is really here. You're really here to learn, and not to get sold stuff to. So what you are going to learn today is you're going to write emails that really we're here to write delightful emails, emails that people are going to look at and not just delete or open and skim, emails that really think get people happy and get them feeling things and get them feeling FOMO or amused or intrigued, and make them open and then want to keep reading. And ultimately, this is all email is the long game. It's about building relationships with people so that you stay in people's minds, so you build that connection. And of course, because this is not a hobby for any of us, so that you ultimately get bookings, but not in a salesy, spammy kind of a way. So, just a couple of things about how to approach today. Oh, I think there's someone. Oh, yeah, there's a couple more people just arriving. Hello, hello, welcome if you are arriving. I haven't said anything hugely important yet. You've not missed anything, but do feel free to say hi and hello and what you do in the chat. So, how to approach today? Feel free to ask questions. There's no such thing as a daft question. I might not be able to answer it, but I'll do my best. Or if there's something I can't answer during the session, I will make sure I follow up with you afterwards. And don't be frightened to share. We probably all have similar struggles and issues. So if there's something you're struggling with, don't be frightened to share either here in the chat or let me know afterwards. And third, my worst nightmare is the thought of doing this workshop and everybody just going, "Oh, that was nice," and then just filing it away and not doing anything. So really use today to go away after this and write an email and send the email. Or if you haven't got an email list, because I know not all of you have email lists set up yet, set up the blooming email list and get your first email sent, please. Don't just shelf this away because it will never happen. Right. Okay, moving on. Okay, so this, because writing a travel email is part of a bigger picture, it's not just write a brilliant travel email, there's a whole system behind this. If you need help with the bigger picture, I'm offering everybody on this call today a chance to book a 15-minute strategy call with me where I really give you advice tailored to your own business. Once again, I'm not going to try and sell you anything on this call. It really is just a chance to give you more specific, personalized advice. People who've taken this chat in the past have found it really helpful. So there's a QR code. If you zap it, that will take you to my calendar, but I'll also
Did you
give you my.
say 15 minutes, right?
It's 15 minutes, yep, which
One
is
five. Yes, I
one
just wasn't
five.
sure if you said 50 because I looked at it and I can see
Sorry,
two
my
hours and 15. Yeah, got it.
15, it's a 15-minute call, Karen. And what that can lead to, if we get on fine together in that call, I do offer another longer call, again, free,
Got a call.
where I will help you with a strategy plan. The 15 minutes is really just to ascertain that I can help you in the first place. And if I can help you, we go on to that slightly longer call.
Thanks.
So there you are. And yeah, I'm going to move on from this now, but if you've not had time to do it, don't worry, just let me know at the end and I can share you the link. Right. Okay, let's get started. I'm so excited about this. The 5 components of a great travel email. Now, if you've been lured into this workshop by my social media, you might be thinking, she said 6. Well, I can't count. I really, that is just a genuine. It's not like I had 6 and then left one out. I've always had these 5 in my head, but I'm rubbish with numbers. So it's 5 that we're going through today. Just so this is how it's going to work. I'm going to talk about each 5 at a time. At the end of each section, there's going to be an opportunity for you to do a task. Now, as I said in the emails about this workshop, the task involves you working on an email you've already sent. But I also know that many of you who are attending this workshop today haven't started your email list, so you're not going to have anything to work on. So here's what I'm going to suggest. You're going to see the task, make a note of it, zap it on your phone, and please feel free to do the tasks either during this session or after the session. And I'm really happy to give you feedback if you want to email me what you've done. However, I'm not going to give like devoted time during the session so you can work on your writing. First of all, because I think we've got too much to do. Secondly, I don't want the people who haven't got an email to be just like twiddling their thumbs, but you will get feedback on what you do from me. So yeah, and if you want these slides afterwards also, I should say, just so you've got all the tasks and the information, again, just let me know and I'm very happy to share the slides with you. Okay, so let's go. So the first thing is a great travel email has a subject line that demands attention. So this is the first thing we're going to look at today, because without a strong subject line, it's far less likely that anybody is going to open your email in the first place. The better the subject line, the more likely it is people are going to open it. Because you know this, you've all got email inboxes, I'm sure. They are very, very crowded places. So your subject line that you write is going to be up against all the other subject lines. Now, there are some people I have heard say, well, I don't think subject lines are all that important, are they? I really disagree. I think they are very, very important, because even if somebody is consistently sending good emails, and I know this from my own experience as someone who receives emails, I can have a really busy day, a really stressful day. I can look at my inbox, I can think, oh, there's too many emails in there. But if I see an subject line and it's from somebody who usually sends me emails, I'll look at the subject line. And if it intrigues me, if I get kind of like FOMO, what am I going to miss out on? If I don't open this email, of course I'll open it. But if it's just a bit meh, I'll just often not open it. So we're always having to make these little decisions every time we look at our inbox. What do we have to open? But then there's also, what would we really like to open? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to give you a few ideas for different types of subject lines that can all be adapted to your own businesses. I don't think they're too templatey, because you don't need to follow the words. You can change the words to suit yourself, and they're all going to be based around your own experiences and your own businesses. It's more like the principle of the subject line and what these subject lines are doing. So, some possible subject line types. So first of all, my absolute favorite is the mishap, because we all love to go to read about things going just a little bit wrong, because that's just human nature. I think we like to hear about the times things have gone a little bit awry. So here are some example subject lines you could do if you're writing about something that's gone a little bit wrong, to signal to the reader that it's a story, an email story about a mishap. So here are examples. Lost 2 Germans in Lerwick, a true story. I sometimes tour guide, and I did actually lose 2 Germans in Lerwick the other day. Or that's the last time I promised a puffin. Or obviously this could be anything, any kind of elusive thing you were taking people to see. Or simply, well, that tour went well, and in brackets it didn't. So all of this is signaling to people, okay, there's going to be some kind of funny story about a mishap here. Let's open it and find out what happened. Warnings. Okay, so we have to be a little bit careful with warnings because people tend not to, I mean, it's been proven that people tend not to open negative sounding subject lines. So warnings are fun because they get that intrigue, but we need to keep the humor in there as well. So here are three just examples of warning type subject lines. Better not wear your white trainers. Believe this at your peril. Or this is me chasing you, just like Maureen. Now, I'm going to explain that third one in a minute. But you can see that all of these, oh, there's Aleftina. Hello, Aleftina. You can see that each of these three subject lines have something in common. They open that curiosity loop, gets people thinking, right, okay, why? Like, obviously, this is some story about some trip or tour where a guest has worn white trainers and they've got all messed up. Believe this at your peril. It's obviously some myth about the experience you offer or the destination you're working in. And this is me chasing you just like Maureen. This is actually a subject line I wrote for a client. So there's a kind of warning tone to it, but it's also a kind of jokey, humorous thing there. And this email linked back to a previous email in the sequence, and it was all about how the guide used to chase people around in the morning for hugs. And she wouldn't. She sounds a bit wild, but I think the guests always really liked it. And she would chase Maureen. She chased this lady called Maureen around for a hug, until she got the hug. So the readers will have read that previous story, and then this is the final email in the sequence that's saying this is your final chance to book this trip. So it's light-hearted, it's fun, there's a kind of jokey warning in there, and it's just a bit more interesting than saying book now, last chance, final spot, which it's just a bit, everybody's doing that, and it just feels like stressful and salesy and not very nice. So if you can make it funny, people are much more likely to open and to respond to it. I really like this approach as well, just making it about your reader. We can use the personalization, so we can add the reader's name in the field as well. And again, these can be totally adaptable. So for example, who's here today? I can see I've got Karen on the screen in front of me. So this is such a Karen place, or this is such a Karen restaurant. This is such a Karen trip. And immediately Karen or Penelope or Barbara or James or Connie or Aleftina or Kirsten or whoever's reading it, even though we know that the email's been automated, there is just something about human nature. If you see your name, you are more likely to click and think, because you're curious. You want to see what is such a place about you, because people are always interested in themselves. The feeling devil may care. Hello?
Go here so you'll see better.
Oh, I think somebody's maybe needs not got their mute on, possibly, unless that's a question, is it? No, I don't think it is. So the feeling something, feeling whatever, feeling frisky, feeling risky, feeling brave. You know, you can put any adjective there that applies to the email that you're going to write. But again, that is going to intrigue people. Remember to keep it positive though. Always positive, always upbeat. Or, you know, their name and then, you know, some funny accolade, you know, something that they could possibly achieve with you on your tour or in your place. Again, has that kind of comedy aspect, but also gets them hooked because you're using their name. Just a word of caution with this: don't be using it too often. This is really best used sparingly. Don't use it every time, because I think, you know, we've all experienced when somebody uses their name sparingly, it's really nice, it feels really personal. But if you're speaking to somebody and they're like, yeah, I know what you mean, Connie. Oh, totally, Connie. Oh, I feel the same, Connie. It gets a bit like, whoa, like that's a bit much, a bit obsequious. But if you're just using it occasionally, the odd email, then I think this is a really nice approach as well. The call for help is a great subject line type as well because people are actually really helpful and they like to feel that they are helping out and they like to feel involved. So I really like the call for help subject line, and these are some examples. Can I get your eye on next year's route? Which of these two stops would you pick? Or help me settle an argument about peanut butter. I mean, again, it can be a little bit daft sometimes, but as long as the subject line also, I should say, as long as the subject line does need to relate to the content as well. So then your email would also need to be feature peanut butter. But I hope you're understanding here. These subject lines can be varied to whatever you want to talk about. It's just the kind of the structure and the sense of it here is what we're talking about, and creating that curiosity and just making it a little bit different from all of the other travel emails that are out there. Okay, so that is a few types of subject lines. These are not the only types of subject lines that are available. There are many different ones, but I think these are, if you ever feel like you're a bit stuck with subject lines or your subject lines are a bit samey, then these are some really good ones to experiment with. I thought it would be fun just to have a look at some of the subject lines that I've written that have done well. So I looked through my own stats, and I also included a subject line from an email I wrote for a client. So that's the one at the top, which is 3 women, 1 ranger, and an awkward moment. So sometimes it's quite fun if you've written a story, which we will be talking about today because I'm a big fan of story emails. If you've written a story-led email, to pick out 3 kind of slightly seemingly unconnected elements of the story and put them together in the subject line, because immediately what the reader's mind tries to do is, how can these be connected? And it's a bit of a riddle, and then they want to open it. I'll actually be talking a little bit about this story later because it's quite a nice story. But yeah, and then the other one was just an email I sent to my own list. Left my kids with a stranger. He dug a hole. That's a true story. I did leave my kids with a stranger, and he did dig a hole. Luckily, it has a happy ending. Nobody got hurt. It was just a kind of weird thing that happened. But I wrote an email story about that, and it's kind of summarised the story in the subject line, and that email got a lot of response. A lot of people saying they just had to open the email because of that subject line. The best joke I ever heard actually did really well as well. Presumably, people like jokes and they wanted to open it to find out what the best joke I ever heard was. And she thought I was dying. Another subject line that did well, possibly just dramatic. Probably they just wanted to know what she was, and what they thought I was dying of and what the situation was. So yeah, I mean, I think the other thing to say about subject lines, I think I did, touch on this a minute or two ago. Just make sure you don't get so carried away with writing a really dramatic subject line that doesn't then connect with your email. Because if you write an amazing subject line and then don't follow through in the email, your readers are going to feel a little bit cheated, obviously. The other thing to think about with subject lines is always test your emails. Always send a test email to yourself and see how the subject line looks. See which words are displayed, because especially on mobile, always check it on your mobile. Because sometimes your subject lines will get cut off if they're longer, like some of these ones are. But if it's just some boring words that are showing, then nobody's going to open it. But even with this 3 women, 1 ranger and an awkward moment, I think maybe some of that would have got cut off on mobile. But anybody seeing it on their mobile could see 3 women, 1 ranger, and already that's kind of interesting. So they probably opened it because of that. Okay, so that is as subject lines, and this is the task that I'd like you to do, which I don't think we're going to have time to do in this workshop. And there's also reasons I explained earlier about not everyone having an email to work with. But this is something that I would like you to try to do in the time after this workshop. And as I said, do feel free to send it. Send your improved subject lines to me. I'd be really happy to have a look at them. And yeah, that's it for subject lines. At this stage, are there any questions? Or Kerry Ann, has anyone put any questions yet for us to address? Nope, not yet. Okay, is everybody still like here? Give me a wave or a nod or a smile if you're not completely lost. Oh, I got some hearts. That's nice. That's lovely. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Karen, for the hearts. And do feel free. I mean, it's not too late. If any questions about subject lines come up at a later date, just let me know. But that's us. Yeah, we'll keep moving for now. I
We've
do
got a
feel like
question now.
Oh, great. Okay, what's the question?
Tara's put a question. What about emojis in subject lines?
Yeah, yeah. I don't mind an emoji. I mean, again, I think test it out, experiment. I suppose it depends a little bit on the emoji. Um, I mean, it's not something I personally do, but I think it can really add, done done the right way and done sparingly, it can maybe contribute to that kind of friendly, casual feel, which I think works really well with emails. So if that's your vibe, if you're wanting to have this kind of friendly, casual vibe, I think an emoji or two in a subject line really doesn't go amiss at all. I think some people have gone off emojis a little bit because of ChatGPT and AI, but people have gone off all sorts of things because of ChatGPT and AI. People have gone off M dashes, people have gone off the adverb quietly. But I think if it's something you would do anyway, and some people would use M dashes anyway, and some people, I mean, I love lists of threes, and that's become a bit of an AI thing now as well. If it's something you would do anyway, Tara, then absolutely do it and own it and never mind about what people will think. But yeah, I would certainly wouldn't think that a strategically used emoji was a turn off. Okay, cool. But yeah, we can move on now to the next bit if there's no other questions. So the next very important element of writing a great travel email is an opening line that hooks. And where's my thing going? Ah, there we go. Right, okay. So why is the hook so important? Well, I think I'm not going to labor this point too much because even if you don't write emails, you write social media posts and you'll have heard about hooks and you'll know it's really important to write a strong first sentence because basically if the subject line gets people opening your email, it's the start of the email that's going to make or break whether they stick around and read your email through to the end. A strong hook's important as well because it doesn't just kind of set the tone for what's going to come in the email. It can also carry on with intrigue, and it also has the job of immediately communicating relevance to the reader. Because always bear in mind, your readers always at the back of their mind, they're thinking, like, why am I here? What's in this for me? What's in this email for me? And if they very quickly feel that there's nothing in the email for them that's going to be of use to them or of value to them or of entertainment to them, they're going to bounce away. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at a few different types of hook. Oh, here is Masha coming in. Hello, Masha. So for I don't know if there's been some other people who've just joined us recently. We've just been talking about subject lines. And if there's anything that you feel you want to catch up on, just let me know. I can always send you the slides or the video afterwards. So yes, a hook. What is a hook not? Don't feel just because you're writing an email and it's friendly and intimate that, we can get into the we're writing an email to our granny kind of thing. Please don't start with a weather report unless the weather is a really important part of the story and it's part of your story. And please don't start with that. I hope this finds you well. We just don't have time for that, and that's not going to do anything for your reader. No preamble, just get straight into it. And there's a few different ways that you can do this. Okay, well now if you can just all make sure you're on mute, please, that would be great. Okay, so the first way you can establish a hook is to just drop your reader into a moment. Now, this is something I see with my clients quite a lot, and it's they start writing and they're building the context because they think everything's got to be explained, and they're saying like who and where, just like just like they're writing a story for English class many years ago. But actually, you don't need that. It's much, much more arresting if you just drop the reader into the middle of the action with a time, a sound, a smell, a specific person. I love using names. Oh yeah, I never spoke about that actually, but the subject lines, I really like to use names, people's names, not necessarily the name of the reader, but the names of people in the story. It just makes it, if you use a name, it immediately makes it more vivid. Like, I think Barbara here, for example, 4:15, and Barbara was nowhere to be seen. We could have written there, my guest, but, um, but then, that doesn't tell us something. We'll all have some kind of mental image in our head of what a Barbara looks like. Now, we have a question from Karen. Karen, feel free just to come off mute and ask your question, by the way.
Okay. Quick question. Are we only talking about emails that we'd be sending out to a large list, or are we also talking about just like a response email to a client?
No, sorry, I should have made that clear. All of these emails that I'm talking about today are emails that you'd be sending to a list. We're not talking about response emails.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if somebody messages you with a question about the tour itinerary and you drop them into a story. I think they might be a little bit confused.
Right.
in
And
that.
I was just thinking about the hope you're well kind of thing, which I
Oh,
do
yeah.
tend to do, when someone's
Yeah, I think in a response email, if that's how you would interact with people, that's
yeah.
okay.
Okay.
I think we're
Okay.
talking here about broadcast emails and emails you would
Perfect.
send bi-weekly or monthly to
Yeah.
your list.
Just wanted to double check.
No worries, absolutely. Like I said at the beginning, please, if any questions at all, I would hate to think of anybody sitting there confused. Okay. You don't always have to start with like that scene setting story thing, though. You can start with an opinion that's going to make people sit up and think, "What? I don't agree with that," or "Oh yeah, I really agree." So yeah, so that's also a really nice way to start and grab people's attention. But I do see this quite a lot nowadays, and I don't know if it's AI or if it's just people are scared of offending other people, but I do see quite a lot of, "Oh, this is my unpopular opinion on such and such," and then it's just like a really vanilla opinion. It's hardly even an opinion. So if you're going to do that, please make it something. Be brave and come down on one side or the other. And I mean, I've put some examples here. They're kind of jokey examples. But I mean, I do think I've never had any time for Venice. Like you could say you've never had any time for a place that everybody loves and then say why. That's not actually true for me, by the way. I've never even been to Venice, so I'd like to go. The second one is, why would anyone put pineapple on a pizza? I mean, again, it's jokey, but people really have strong opinions about that, don't they? I'm personally on team pineapple. I think it's amazing. Don't know what you guys think. Okay, this one is really nice as well. Oh, there's Anne coming along. Okay, hello, Anne. Welcome. Nice to see you. We're just talking about hooks and what makes a good hook at the moment. So we've been talking about subject lines, but just let me know if there's anything you want to catch up on afterwards. Okay, so this one is a really, really nice one to start with. So choose a question that a guest or a potential guest has asked you, or just choose one you think your readers might be wondering about. So here's examples. How fit do I need to be for an underwater experience? But I mean, that would apply to all sorts of tours. I know people who run walking tours often get that question. What if I don't get on with the other ladies? I mean, I was thinking about a group tour for women who don't know each other. That would be a concern. how likely am I to find creepy crawlies in my room? That could be, for example, if you were doing some kind of safari, someone might be really worried about finding creepy crawlies in their room. So yeah, three possible hooks. And just with those ones, I think it's with those hooks, it's really good. Don't just then go into kind of like Wikipedia mode and answer it really factually, because then, you've got a nice hook and then it just gets a little bit boring. Use a real story to answer the question. Use a guest experience or talk about, your own experiences to answer the question. Because as we're going to be coming to in a moment, stories really are the bomb when it comes to writing good emails. You can't go wrong with a story. Um, I really like to do this sometimes as well. You don't always need to open with your own words. You can open with a guest's words or something overheard, or even like a rubbish review you've got, because why not use them for the good? So here's a review: Too many sheep, 2 stars. So I mean, that's actually, you could take that and show the funny side of it and make it into a little bit of a story about this miserable person who thought there were too many sheep. Or, something moving maybe that a guest has said to you, like, I'm getting my ashes scattered here. But it's much more powerful to begin with that quote rather than go into a big story about how you took this person on a tour and then you got to this beautiful view and they said they were getting their ashes scattered here. Start with that. Copywriting is totally the opposite of the writing you did at school, where it was like, save the best bit for the end. No, in copy, because we're always trying to get people's attention, their very limited attention, and they're busy, start with the powerful stuff. Start with your best line and then lead from there. Don't think people are going to hang around till it gets good, because they won't actually do that. Okay, so the next task is to look at your last email and think about how you can make your first line a bit more hooky and use one of the techniques that we've just looked at. So that's another task. Again, if you want to try this, or even for the people here who haven't written an email yet, even if you want to take these tasks away afterwards and write your first email and send it to me, I'd be very happy to give you some quick feedback and tell you how you're getting on. Okay, we're doing really good for time, because I think I've been speaking like 19 to the dozen. So we can stop for a quick question. Does anyone have any questions about what we've spoken about so far? Subject lines or hooks, or just anything else that you're worried about? Fiona. Hello, Fiona.
Hi there. I just have a quick question. If the email you're sending out is like from a blog post,
Mm-hmm.
would it just have the same subject line as the title of the blog post or the article, or should you be doing something else that's a bit more hooky or something like that?
Yeah, I think with blog posts it's an interesting one, because the blog posts, just from a general SEO point of view, I think blog titles need to be a lot clearer and less clever, and whereas with an email, I think you can be a lot quirkier. So I would certainly no, I wouldn't recommend just having this. Were you suggesting there maybe, Fiona, just kind of copying over a blog post and making it into an email?
No, well, I know like for some people, like I also have some friends and colleagues who are travel bloggers, for example, and so their emails that are going out to their mailing list are their like when they have a new blog post, that's what goes out to everybody.
Ah, right. Okay.
So,
Okay.
or they
Yeah.
send it out to everybody, or maybe they include part of it and then say, go to the website. They include one or two paragraphs and then they say, go to the website or go to the blog to read the rest of the article or whatever.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm. See, I always feel with emails that you have to be, for somebody to give away their email address, that you really have to be kind of giving them something almost a little bit different, a little bit special. So I feel like, hmm, yeah, it's a tricky one. I suppose, but in that case, the emails are really just acting as a kind of reminder that the blog post is there,
yeah.
kind of idea. Is that what they're wanting to achieve from that? It's just, you know, read my blog post.
Well, yeah, for some people it is. I mean, there might be something else. It might be, the blog post is about a new trip they're offering, or I mean, it depends on how they're sending out their blogs or what their purpose they're
Yeah,
using them for, I guess.
yeah,
But
yeah.
um,
I think what I would do in that case is if I was also blogging and if I was writing blog posts about my trips, I would write a different email and then at the end I'd put a link to the blog in the footer. But the
right,
email, the whole format, the whole style, I think would be different because a blog post is kind of there for people to read on the internet, whereas the whole beauty and the power behind an email is you've got this very intimate medium and it's
right,
like a chance to kind of you can show your personality with blog posts. I'm not saying you can't show your personality, but the whole idea is that it's a kind of one-to-one exchange. So I would, yeah, have the blog post just as a link, but create almost some different story around the blog post or something like that, so that the people who are getting the emails feel they're getting something extra.
yeah, okay, cool, thanks.
No worries. Okay, any more questions? Okay, good. So thanks for that question, Fiona. And now we're going to move on to the next one. And we're actually doing well for time, so we might have a little bit of participation at the task and have a little stop and see if we can brainstorm some ideas. So Great Travel Email has a story at its heart, and this is something I really, really believe in because people remember stories. We don't feel like if it's a good story, we never feel like reading it is a chore. It's just something enjoyable. And if you see your emails as a way to bring a little bit of light, a little bit of joy to somebody's day, a little bit of entertainment, then you don't see, I think sometimes people feel a bit like bad almost. It's like, oh, I don't want to send emails because I might be bothering people. If you can really genuinely feel that your emails are entertaining and valuable and fun to read, you're not going to have that feeling because you can be confident that your subscribers are going to enjoy what you've got to say. Okay, so story or value, because I've often had this conversation as well with business owners. They always talk about wanting to bring value to their subscribers. And I think that's, yeah, absolutely understandable. But I think that you can absolutely bring value to your readers through the medium of story. You can bring information, you can educate through stories, you can give information, useful information through stories as well. But because we have this added benefit of the feeling, of making our readers feel something, we remember things through emotion. A story makes us feel something, we feel sad, we feel happy, and then we remember the point of the story, if there's some kind of lesson behind the story, we'll remember that. And also, just remember, entertainment, sheer entertainment, just enjoying a story is also a kind of value in itself. That's why we read. That's why we watch films, because entertainment is value and it's uplifting and it's worth doing. So just as an example here, so you might see blog posts. For example, I'm giving Shetland as an example because that's where I live. And you often see like kind of packing blog posts, for example. So Exhibit A, here are 5 things to pack for your August visit to Shetland, including something for the midges. Just in case you've never been to Scotland in August before, midges are these like horrible little biting insects. I'm covered in midgie bites right now. They're really itchy and nasty and they kind of swarm around you. Really, really tough. So yeah, that's midges. So people who are visiting Scotland would probably want to know about like the best midgie repellents to use. Now, somebody might decide to make an email about 5 things to pack, and they might include midgie repellent in it. And that's okay, but it's very much something that you would just like find online. There's like a million listicle blog posts about what to pack for this place and that place. Do you just want to be like adding to that? I think if you want to give your readers value, you can absolutely do that. But if you couch it in some kind of story, It's always going to be more fun and therefore more memorable, and therefore next time they think of midges and midgie repellents or whatever you're writing about in your context, they're going to think of you. So I wouldn't if I was writing an email, I wouldn't write a 5 things to pack for your August visit to Shetland. I'd use it as a story. So there's this company, you maybe know it, it's a company called Avon. They do like beauty products, and they do this moisturizer. The moisturizer is called Skin So Soft, and it's just like a really disgusting, like greasy body lotion. It smells kind of weird as well. Anyhow, but they didn't mean this to happen, but actually everybody knows it makes the best midgie repellent. If you put this stuff on, it's better than any midgie repellent you could buy in the shop. So, I instead of writing Exhibit A, I'd be much more inclined to write a story about the time my teenage daughter used my Avon Skin So Soft as a moisturizer, and I had none left to repel the midges and got eaten alive. Okay, so you're giving the value. You're saying, if you come to Scotland, get Avon Skin So Soft. Don't get the traditional midgie repellents. Get some of this like cheap and nasty body lotion, and you'll be sorted. And people are going to think, oh, that's, they'll hopefully find that amusing. They'll remember it, and yeah, and you've told them something of value. And you can do that with just about any story you tell. And I don't know who's phoning me, but I'm just going to switch it off. Okay, sorry. Where were we? Yes, let's keep moving. I think did somebody raise their hands a minute or two ago? Because I can't stop to answer questions. No? Is imagining it. Okay. So you're probably thinking now, yeah, but what story should I tell? First of all, I would like to reassure you, all of you. I mean, I know a lot of you. I recognize loads of names when you all arrived today. You all work in travel. And first thing I'd like to say, just in case you're thinking, oh, I don't have any stories, you all work in travel, like in travel accommodation. I'm pretty much prepared to bet that you have got more interesting lives than me. I really have a very boring life. I'm not saying that for sympathy. But I sit at home and I write on my laptop, and then the working day finishes and I go and pick up my child from school, and even then I manage to find things to write about, stories to write about. Every week I have too many stories. I could actually write to my mailing list every day. Don't worry, I'm not going to. With stories. You have a surfeit of stories because you work in travel and you'll be meeting people all the time, and you'll be having amazing experiences and probably lots of mishaps and things going a little bit wrong. So much stuff to write about. But what makes a good story? I think the issue sometimes is knowing which story to choose. So what makes a story work? First of all, it needs to be relevant for your reader. So, like I said at the beginning, there needs to be something in it for them. And this is where the work about really knowing who you're writing to and for is very, very important. Because that's absolutely foundational. If you ever do any work for me, not for me, sorry, with me, that's something we will spend a load of time on. So knowing your guest inside out is going to make it much easier to write relevant emails. Second, what makes a story work is specificity. I see a lot of very, very general emails kicking around in my inbox. If you write your email and you look at it, it's a simple test. You probably heard of this before, but if you look at it and then think, could this have been written by another travel business? And if it could, it's not specific enough. You need to really, really drill down. Don't just say my guest. Give a name. It can be a made up name. It doesn't need to be like your guest's real name. It doesn't matter as long as the story is true. It's okay to change some details. Make mention brands like Avon Skin So Soft, for example. I didn't just say moisturizer. I used a brand name. Weather. I mean, not as in talking about the nice weather we've been having recently, but talk about the weather in a specific way. Time, when did it happen? Not just some random time in the past. When? Was it Tuesday? Was it Wednesday? Was it morning? Was it 3 o'clock? Be specific. It's much more memorable and it just sounds much more real. And a story also works if it makes your reader feel something. And it doesn't really matter what the feeling is, as long as they feel something. It could be just putting a smile on their face is enough of a feeling. I love it when people write to me and tell me that my email put a smile on their face. But sometimes it's okay to write emails that move people and that make people wistful, that make people maybe nostalgic for previous trips. But you should always be thinking like a story should always make somebody feel something, because good copy is always supposed to be making people feel things. Okay, so task. Okay, I think, let me see. Yeah, we're doing okay. We could like have a quick kind of like little 5 minute interlude here where I want you to think, and this is actually good because this, if we do this now, then nobody has got any excuse for not going away and writing an email. Like we're going to have a think now about a story you could write in an email. So task is something that went wrong. Caveat, it it needs to have turned out okay. And actually also just like think carefully because, if I'm an occasional tour guide, I lost a couple of Germans, as I said, in Lerwick on Sunday. I mean, I'm not going to write about that because it's kind of recent and it would need to, if you need to have some distance between yourself and the mistake or the thing that has gone wrong, thanks to you and your quick thinking and all your other skills that turned out okay in the end, you do have to present yourself as not like someone who's completely hopeless. But I do think that telling stories about things that have gone wrong is great fun, and you should try it. A guest reaction that surprised you. You could write about a moment you saw a change in a guest. That's a really nice one. So again, but keep it specific. Don't be like, oh, I always see people arrive in my place and in my in my rental, and they look so, they look tired and they look stressed, and then they leave and they, write. Choose a specific person or guest to write about. Describe them. Describe, their age. Give us details. How did you know they were stressed? I mean, what were they? Was it the way they were carrying themselves? Did they look kind of stiff-necked? Give us those details, and then write about the transformation, and again be specific. And then something about your typical day. Some fly on the wall stuff. What's it like being you? People like to know that. And that also helps people to build a sense of who you're like because, there's people all over, all your competitors, like all over the world trying to sell experiences. Why choose you? That's what, that is the question. So it's showing your personality in a way. A great way to show your personality is just writing about your behind the scenes stuff, how you work, how you roll. So I'm going to give you just a few minutes now, and I want you just to, it doesn't need to, don't write the whole story, but give me your story idea in a couple of lines. And I'm going to set the timer. You don't need to type it straight into the chat, by the way, because that might be scary. Just like type it into a Word document, and then if you want, share it on the chat. But yeah, have a go at that now, and we will regroup in 3 minutes. Okay? Any questions, just let me know. Okay, just 1 minute left. So if you're feeling brave, if you've got an idea, do feel free to share it in the chat. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. That's time up. So do, if you haven't already done so yet, do feel free. Oh wow, I'm looking at the chat. I'm going to have such fun reading this chat. I'm seeing some great comments. Okay, right. So, oh, Wendy even uses Skin So Soft on her alpacas. Wow, it works on alpacas too, Wendy. I did not know that. Okay, let's have a look at some of your ideas. Um, the day the mouse ate a hole through Joan's bag, a call came through my WhatsApp and Joan was huddled on her bed. There was a critter in her tent at her safari lodge on the edge of the Zambezi. Oh wow. Okay. I mean that's a fantastic story. Karen, will you write that up and send it to me? You're on mute, but you're smiling, so I'm hoping that's a yes.
Sure.
I would love to read it. Okay, brilliant. Inspired by you, says Melissa, I'm going to be brave. The time I answered the phone to a naked woman in Seville. What? Okay, Melissa, you're going to have to come on and explain that to me, I'm afraid, because how did you see how did you know she was naked?
As she told me. So well, this is in a previous company, but I was in charge of the 24-hour phone, and I was on duty, and she was in a hotel, a very nice five. I'm trying to be very careful about what I say in case anyone knows her. She was an American client in a very nice five-star hotel in Seville. And during that day, to her absolute horror, which I found hard to believe, but she was a client and they're always right. She had been upgraded to a fancy suite because she had complained about her room, but she had been upgraded whilst she was out on a day excursion, and she was furious that the hotel had moved her belongings, which I can understand to a point, but she was furious about that, and she called me absolutely hysterical in tears, telling me that she had nothing to wear and she had to leave for a flamenco show in 30 minutes. She couldn't find anything.
Brilliant. I mean, yeah, that is that you must write that email, okay? And I mean
To
that's brilliant.
highlight the care that we take of clients.
Well, the thing is, sometimes you just have to tell the story. I think sometimes if you have a brilliant story like that, often when I'm writing my emails, I'm like, this is just a really good story. I want to write this story. And often I'll have no idea how I'm going to, because my emails that I send are all about like copywriting. They have copywriting lessons in them. And often I'll be writing it and I'll just be enjoying writing the story and I'll be thinking, what is this? How can I link this
Yeah.
to copywriting or to my service? And actually, once you will find out, you will find a way. If it's a good story,
Yeah, I
there'll
mean,
be some kind of
I
link.
guess it's linked to the care we take on the ground in a different time
Absolutely.
zone. Don't worry, TAs, if you're in the States, I'll deal with you know, I'll
Yeah,
deal with your naked
exactly.
clients in Seville.
Exactly. Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's perfect. You could have such fun with a
Mm.
a subject line for that as well. Um, Yeah. And again, this is just a little general tip which would be handy for everybody is when you write the story for the email, and this is something I do as well, like it just as part of my practice, um, go and lop you write it down, just write everything down, get it out, and then go and look at it, and then cut the first two paragraphs off. And
Hmm.
what you'll find is very often it stands and it's better without the first two paragraphs. Not always, but often. And that's because we spend a lot of time setting up the context. It's like what I was saying earlier, drop the readers in at the act in the middle of the action, and it's going to be, a better story. So you don't need all of the explanation at the beginning, just cut straight to the nakedness and then work back from it that way. Yeah, so cutting off the first two paragraphs is a good shout, a good test to do with any
Thank
email you write.
thank you. I'd actually forgotten all about that, but it was when you said that you already have all the stories in you, and manning an emergency phone gives you plenty. So
Absolutely. You'll have the stories to last you a lifetime, I would think,
yes,
Melissa.
thank you.
Okay, good. I'm going to have a look at some more stories now, but I see in the meantime, Karen, you've got your hand up. What would you like to ask or say?
My question was what you addressed sort of, but um, do you think it's important to always figure out a way, since you are basically selling something, to whether it's yourself, your service, you've to tie it back in somehow to your work that you do, or how this applies?
Uh, yes, to some extent, yes, but not always. Sometimes, you sometimes a great thing can just be if you've got a story and you just want to share the story. I mean, there should always be a reason. There should always be a reason for your email. There should always be something you want to get out of it, but it doesn't always need to be a sale. If we think about email as like a brilliant relationship building channel, sometimes it could just be as simple as a question at the end to get people answering, to get people
Mhm.
sharing their opinions. What would you have done in this situation kind of idea, possibly. Um, yeah, we're going to speak about footers as well at the end of this session. And your email footer can do a lot of legwork for you and can be really useful. So I mean, if you've got a brilliant story and you write it and you're still not totally sure how it can link to your service, although I'd suggest that if you are writing about something that's happened in your work, or even like something that's happened to you personally, I think you'll be surprised how easy it can be to link to what you're offering or what you do or something about your personality. I think there's usually is some kind of linkage there. But yeah, the footer can also be very helpful for directing people to take some step or to stay with you, to stay in your world for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I was just thinking you don't want to ruin the whole email by then making it really salesy at the end.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and that's what we're going to be speaking about in, I think, the next section of today's session. We're going to be speaking about the natural ask, which is exactly what you've been speaking about, how not to ruin a wonderful story by coming along with a sledgehammer and saying, book now, get buy my stuff now. It's about being yeah, subtle and careful about how you do that. Okay, right. We're going to have a look at some more stories. Thanks for that question, Karen. That was a really useful, clarifying question. Okay. Kirsten says, my hook would be enjoying. Whoa, sorry. I've got this laptop balanced on a pile of books. Kirsten says, my hook would be enjoying an evening drink in the most remote pub in Scotland, blissfully unaware of what was to come. Okay. I like it, Kirsten. I'd love to know what happened next. I'd love to read the rest of that email. Make it specific. What evening drink? Was it a whiskey? A gin and tonic? A Guinness? Okay. Always be specific. You could maybe even say where it was in Scotland as well. Always be looking and trying to make it as specific as you possibly can. But that's a lovely hook. Wendy, goose got run over, trip to vet, 3 weeks later came back with another goose too and have joined the flock and left for winter. Oh, well, I think that's a lovely story. So Wendy runs Acorn Glade, which is an absolutely lovely glamping place with beautiful accommodation. So that would be very much tying in. It's a place where you can go kind of for a restorative break. So Wendy, yes, that would really, I could really see how that would tie in with the whole vibe that you're offering. That's a lovely story. And I also think you could tie that in with what you're doing, what you're offering for your guests as well. You know, your guests are often arriving very frazzled, and you're kind of looking after them and helping to restore them, just as you've done with the goose, and who knows, maybe even making little goslings while they're staying with you. Um, yeah, you might want to allude to that. I don't know. Uh, but yeah, that's a lovely story. Nice one, Wendy. Oh wow, you guys have got such good ideas. I love these. I told you you would have better stories than me. Yolanda, Thursday afternoon, ping, a WhatsApp message. Can we stay this weekend? It's from my glasses adjustment, Ruya, and I hope that I pronounced that right, and her husband. You need to know that our weekends are on Friday and Saturday as I am in Jordan. Ah, okay. Yeah, okay. Thursday afternoon. So Yolanda, are you there? Can I ask you a question? I don't know. Yolanda's maybe disappeared. I just wanted to ask her a question about that.
Yes,
Um,
I'm here. I'm here.
okay, brilliant. Thank you, Yolanda.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just have I just have a question about this.
Yeah.
This story. Tell
Yeah.
me a little bit more about it.
Well, I want to write that at this time it's very quiet in Jordan, and
Hmm.
we don't have guests because there are no flights, because there's negative travel advice because of what's going on with the genocide. And
Mm.
so I haven't had guests for a few months, so I'm totally not ready for guests, because there are no guests. But then this happened, so I had to clean up the rooms and clean my house and prepare and do washing, and because I was behind with everything because I don't have guests.
Mhm.
So that
Mhm.
was, yeah, the start of an email about that.
Brilliant. Okay, good. I just wanted to clarify that. Yeah. So thanks
Yeah,
for giving me that extra context. So yeah, yeah, go ahead and write that email and send it to me. I'd be really interested. I think there's
yeah,
also an opportunity here, as I was saying earlier on, for that kind of whole day in the life, so people can find out more about you and
exactly.
how you work and what you do.
Yeah,
So
that
yeah,
was my idea. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
good.
to
I
write
think
about
that
that.
could
Yeah,
be, I think that could be really lovely. Right, okay,
yeah,
going to have a look at a couple more. I'm seeing that there's maybe quite a lot more. So if I don't get time to look at yours now, I promise you I'm going to get back to you later. Marie, okay. Idea to restart a newsletter series for a forgotten email list. No, it's not us almost quitting our travel consulting business. It's exactly that. But see, there's an almost there, and it makes all the difference. Okay. So, Marie, are you around? Can I ask you a question?
I'm here. Hi.
You're here. Okay. Hi. Hi, Maria. Sorry, I was saying Marie. My screen's quite small, so I'm
Okay.
sometimes missing things. Okay, so Maria, this is an idea to start emailing again after a break. Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But the thing is, I don't have a concrete story in mind. It's more like decisions, what to do with our business and stuff. So I will have to put thoughts and a random decision into a story. Not make it up, but make like a story. And
Mhm.
I don't know if it's possible.
No, I think I think people, again, it's that whole openness and sharing real stuff about your life and your business. So what I think would be good here, I think, is just making it really specific, maybe talking your reader through like a particular decision you've made recently and the outcome of it and keeping it quite positive would be key here. But yeah, I mean, absolutely have a think about that. And again, we're going to talk about this in a little minute, but it's thinking about how to structure it. There's a danger with an idea like this; it could just get really big, and we want to keep our emails quite kind of streamlined and focused. So focusing on one aspect of all of this decision making that's been going on and writing about that rather than including like the whole shebang would be good. Okay, a quick question from Fiona, and then we're going to move on. So sorry if I've not had time to look at everybody's stories, but we've still got another couple of points to cover. And I don't want to be rushing through these because they're really important. Fiona, question.
Yeah, just when you were talking about that in particular, that made me think, like, what is sort of the optimal length of an email? Like, is there, you don't want it to be too long, but you obviously don't want it to be too short. So what would you say is ideal?
Ah, I'm not going to give you a word count because I think it depends how long it takes to tell the story. But I would say that, yeah, if you're regularly sending out really, really long emails, that's maybe not great because you have to always be aware of people's time. And also, if you're telling a story effectively and efficiently and concisely and not doing all of that adding context at the beginning, you should be able to keep your emails, even if I think for the kind of stories I really advocate, it's very much like a story about a moment in time. So you should be able to do this and do justice to your story and make the link in, if you like, I don't know, I feel like I'm plucking numbers out of the sky here, but like, maybe like 7 or 8 paragraphs.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't looking for a word count. I just like, like if
Yeah.
you printed it off, like, and it's a page, that's probably about right. If it was 2 or 3 or 4 pages, it's too long.
Yeah,
But
yes,
2 or 3
yes. I think two
paragraphs
or
is too
three
short.
pages would be too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So like basically like a 2-minute read kind of an idea.
Yeah, that kind of idea. And as well, sometimes, something else that really works is my emails tend to probably be a little bit on the longer side. But it's a great thing to do as well if you don't want to like lull your readers so they think, oh, here's Genevieve again with another like 7 paragraph story. So every now and then I just like to do something completely different. So like a few weeks ago I wrote this email and the subject line was the shortest email I've ever written. And it's quite offended because loads of people opened it and it was like they were really happy that finally I was writing a short email. But I actually think that people just like, it's refreshing to do something different. And sometimes short emails, if you don't have, if what you've got to say is just short, make it a short email. We're not at school anymore. We're not writing like a 500-word essay. If you've got to say something and it's just short, then sometimes, that is an email that can get you a great response. So don't feel that you're working towards a particular word count. Say what you need to say. But yeah, 2 or 3 pages, if you were printing out, would definitely be a bit too long.
Right.
Okay, no worries. Thanks for the question. Okay, I'm going to save this chat and get back to you guys later about your story ideas. I'm just going to close that down. And yeah, we're getting a little bit tight for time, so I'm afraid I'm just going to truck on through with this. Now, luckily, I think I've already covered this to some extent, and that is the structure of the emails. And often I find that this is something that my clients do need a little bit of help with. This is such a common thing. I think it's especially when people are just really enthusiastic about writing and sharing the stories and they're taking on board all I've said, but then they put about 6 emails into one email. So if you are finding, and just as I've been speaking about with Fiona, that your email is too long, very often it can be split up and it's not just one story. It might be, I think one time I was coaching this client one-to-one and she'd written this email and we chopped it up into about 4 emails. So, it's not always like you're going to be wasting material when you shorten your emails. It's just you've got more emails to send, which is much better, actually. So always have a look at your email. And again, a really useful test is you should be able to describe what your email is about in one short sentence. So the first one here is an email I actually wrote for a safari tours company. And it was about four women, and they were on safari, and it was really dangerous to pee because they would potentially get eaten because they were in the wilderness. So a ranger was having to watch them while they took their pee break. And they were being very, very quiet, obviously, because they didn't want to draw attention to themselves from any animals. And then one of them farted. And they all burst out laughing. And the point of the email was that it was what the point we were trying to make was that this isn't like an Instagram picture perfect trip. These are the sort of moments, these kind of just funny, unguarded moments are the moments that the women really treasure and remember, and that really help them to bond. So anyway, that was that story, which I've just told, but you can see that as a story, you can fit it into a sentence. And that's what the email was. It was that story, and then that point that these trips are not like unfiltered and picture perfect. They're real. And then some other ones. One sentence tests. A guest wrote to say he'd packed in his job to move here. I used to lose people on tours. Obviously, I don't now. It would be the point of that email. And a guest who was dying cried at the view. Okay, so all of these stories can be fitted into one sentence, so that makes them one email worthy. But if there's anything extraneous, or you go off into branching into talking about another guest or another time, because it's really tempting to do that. It's like, oh yeah, and this also reminds me of this time. No, just don't leave that out. That is for another email. Okay, so have a look at some previous emails you've sent, if indeed you have sent emails in the past. Have a good hard look at them, and if there's enough email for 5 materials, then what will you cut and what will you keep, or will you chop it up into different emails? Think about that as a task after this. Okay, good. I think we saved some time on that one because it was quite short. Now, this is really, really important. So I want to spend the last little bit of the session on this and the footer, and then we'll have covered all 5. So every great travel email has a natural ask, and this brings us back to, I can't even remember, was it Karen who were asking about this, I think, always linking back to what we do. And yes, emailing isn't a hobby. I think we could all find other things we could do with our time. So you want your readers to know you and like you and ultimately buy from you. But the buying from you isn't just going to happen because you'd really like it to. You have to make it happen. And earlier on this year, I spoke to loads of travel business owners to research the course that I'm going to be launching in September. I wanted to find out what their biggest fear was. And everybody said, I think like every single person I spoke to listed their fear as sounding salesy. And then what you get, now there are a lot of travel businesses on the other side of the spectrum who are just like blasting lots of salesy, spammy stuff into the ether. But there is definitely the people, often the people who I end up working with are really nice, polite people, and they write lovely emails that don't ask for things, and then they wonder why nothing happens and why they're not getting the bookings that they want. So you need to make some kind of ask, even if it is just in a footer. But please don't always have your asks in the footer. Okay, that's just sometimes. Sometimes have your asks at the very beginning, but there should always be an ask in every email. The ask doesn't always need to be buy this. It doesn't always need to be go and look at my website. As long as we are somehow moving our relationship with our reader forward somehow, that's what we want. That's what we want from email. It's relationship building, and part of that relationship is sometimes just engagement. So it could be book a call with me. I really like, okay, I don't do it all the time, but I really like occasionally offering calls. I think it's a really nice way to build that sense of community with the readers on my list and get to know them a little bit. And I just love the feeling that the people who read my emails, like I know about them a little bit as well as they know about me. It could be look at the new website, could be read the blog post, or it could just be like hit reply. I don't often reply to emails actually, but I remember once I subscribed to this woman's emails, and her first email was asking me what sort of crisps I liked. And it's just such a silly question. It's such an easy question to answer that I just put in my favorite crisps, which are Monster Munches, if you're interested. And you know that that simple action of replying to her email, for one thing, if you get replies to your emails, it kind of is good for your deliverability rates. But secondly, that's just like the beginning of the relationship forming. Any kind of relationship or opportunity for conversations with your potential guests is a really, really good thing. So making the ask is important, and the ask can be different ask every time. It can be at a different part in your email. I've already said this. I'm actually going to say it again because it's so important. Don't always put the ask at the end of your email, because then people just get into the habit and it's like, oh, that's a nice story. And then there's a little ask at the end, but it's kind of nestled away quietly in the PS because we don't want to be salesy. Okay, don't always be so apologetic. You can move it around, you know. You don't need to be shy. Oh, there's Karen back in the waiting room. She must have popped off for a bit. Right. So the last thing we're going to talk about today is the footer of your email. And I often think that footers are ignored or not really used as well as they could be. Your footer can change, or you can have a few different kind of footer templates that you use. But basically, a footer is a nice way of just like, putting a few different options, but not writing about it in your email. So it's like out with the body of the email. You've got the little line and you've got all the stuff about like unsubscribing, the unsubscribing options, which incidentally, I strongly recommend you kind of rewrite that and tweak that so it's in your own voice. Otherwise, you're just going to be left with whatever your email host has written, and it might not sound like you. Make sure everything is in your voice. So anyway, yeah. Sometimes now, who was asking about this? I think it was Karen, but excuse me, it's been a long day. I can't remember. If sometimes you've written this like magical email and you don't want to break the spell by saying anything, this is where you have your footer can really come into its own, because you've written a lovely story. Maybe you just want to end it. This works particularly well for, maybe you've written a really moving story or a vulnerable story or a story about loss or something like that, and you just want to leave it there to percolate. Then you have your footer. Then under your footer, you can put a couple of different things. Like sometimes, for example, when I don't want to make an ask in my email, I will write something like, here are 3 ways you can work with me, and then 3 different options. But it's underneath, it's in the footer, so it's not part of the email. You could do the same. You could list your tours, or if you have a short-term rental, you could say like 3 different ways you can find out more about my place, and you could list the website or your Instagram. You can mention your socials, anything at all that you want, and you can have a few different, just to save you time. You can just make up a few different like footer templates that you can kind of mix and match and use different elements of, and just whip them out anytime you want to use one. If you have like a strong call to action, like your email's asking them to do something, then the footer, you don't want to have like a call to action and then a footer, because they're just going to compete with each other. And if there are too many asks, then people are just going to get confused and walk away and do nothing. However, it's probably still okay to have on your footer like your Instagram and find me on LinkedIn or find me on Instagram or something like that. You just want to be wary of overloading people and giving them too many decisions to make. Just have, for each email you send, think, what would I most like people to do after reading this email? And then that's your call to action. Okay. Whew, I have just talked a lot. So, but amazingly, we've actually, yeah, that's all of the 5 components spoken about. So yeah, would anyone like to ask any more questions or make any comments? Because we do have time for a couple of questions now. Nope. Okay. Well, just then I would just, Fiona, yes.
Hi, sorry, I'm the question person today.
No, I like a questions person.
I just put the comment in, but just in case or I put a question in the chat thing in case you don't see it. I just wondered, like, so, if I'm doing sort of like nature-based, conservation-focused kind of outdoor hikes or outings or whatever, and something happens, so like either a client I'm sending out to people who've already been clients and maybe they'll return again, or maybe they'll send somebody, or just so they can kind of keep in touch or whatever. Um, like, what about including in that something about asking them to sign a petition? Like, I don't know, it's like tell the Scottish government to protect these seabirds, or I don't know, whatever. Like, is that okay if it's a place that, like you took them there and they fell in love with it and like help us
Yeah.
protect it? Is that okay, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, Fiona. And I mean, I would suspect that your guests are going to be very much up for that.
Okay, cool. I just wasn't sure if
Yeah.
that's the thing that you would include or if that was
Yeah,
more like a social
yeah.
media kind of thing.
No, I think absolutely that's something that's important to you. So it's sharing
Yeah.
a little bit about something that you feel strongly about, and again, it's giving them the opportunity to engage. So yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
cool.
I think that's a really good idea. Okay, thank you for that question. We also have a question from Rita. Hi, Rita.
Hi, Genevieve. Thank you so much for today. So I have 2 questions. When it comes to the emails, should we keep them just word, like with the words, the way an email has words, or is it okay if you, let's say, include pictures? Because the kind of industry that I am in, I'm sure you know, but for the rest of the people, I am the founder of a women-led safari company that does tours to Uganda and Rwanda. So most times there are photos, let's say action moments, if I should say, while you're on safari. So is it okay if I'm writing a story that is related to that, to do an email that maybe has photos, maybe, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think, travel emails, photos and visuals are a really important part of travel. So absolutely, just always test. Just as I said earlier, send yourself a test email so you can just make sure and view them on mobile, and experiment a little bit with the layout, because if you've spent time writing a lovely email, you just want to make sure your words are not completely overshadowed by the photos. So just yeah, experiment with it, test it, send yourself some test emails. But yes, definitely. And I think depending on which email platform you end up using, some of them have really nice kind of layouts that you can use. So you can even incorporate a lovely photograph into your header so that it's always there. You can make your emails really beautiful and really visual.
Yes, and then my second question would be, is it better to keep it personal? Because as a business person, I do sometimes like to separate the business from the person, but you spoke about personality, and as the meeting was going on, I also see the need to have people feel connected to the person sometimes. So while writing these emails, is it better to just write to them as me, like write to my readers as me, and then maybe the call to action can maybe later on lead them to the business. What do you think?
I'm really glad you've taken that away from today, Rita, because I think if that's one thing I'd like everybody to take away from today, it is the importance of connecting and the importance of showing your personality. Because as I said before, your average person, they see the tours, they see all of the things that are on offer. What really sets our businesses apart is our personalities and our energy. So absolutely, yes, write as you, and don't be afraid to show your personality, because ultimately that's what's going to make people choose you. Yeah, and if you want any, if you want to, if you have any more questions about that, do feel free to reach out. But yeah, I think the best emails you get from businesses aren't the ones that feel like they're from a business. They're emails that feel like they're from a person that you can relate to.
Okay.
No
Thank
worries.
you.
No, thank you, Rita. Okay. We've got time for one more question, and I can see one more hand, and that is Melissa's hand.
Hello, thank you, Rita, because your question is mine leads off yours. Thank you. We haven't started marketing lists yet, and all of the things we've talked about today are my head's all for a first email where your clients may know you from LinkedIn, or potential clients may know you from LinkedIn, and I'm talking to travel advisors rather than direct clients. I see so many emails, and I was talking. I wonder sometimes, is our message too bland, and do we need to be, is it trying to be too editorial, and do we need to really be more personal? So for the first email, I guess we don't go in with "I talked to a naked woman in Seville" because maybe it's a bit too strong. Do you have any quick advice on the kind of tone or pitch of?
Yeah, sure. Well, first thing I'd like to say is I do a workshop every month, and a free workshop every month. And it just so happens that the next free workshop is going to be writing your welcome email sequence.
Ah, great.
So yeah, I would strongly suggest you come along to
Okay.
that. Having said that, some of the best welcome email sequences I've ever seen, you have to start as you're going to continue.
Yeah.
And you have to be consistent. So yeah, I mean, maybe the naked woman is a bit much for the first
Yeah.
email, but you certainly don't need to be bland. There is too much blandness going on in
Yeah.
travel copy at the moment.
I could,
Um,
and perhaps in our own too. So
yeah, no, come along. I haven't got a date for the September workshop yet, but I'll share with you all repeatedly
great.
the minute I have a date, so you can come along. Yeah, and I'll have a think. I'll send you any more advice that comes off the top of my head, but my advice would be personal from the beginning anyway, because what is the point of somebody signing up to your emails, and then, if you're bland from the beginning, they're just not going to they're just
Engage.
they're
Yeah.
just not going to engage. Whereas if you come across as a fresh, exciting, funny voice, they'll be like, oh yeah, I like this, and it's making connections from the start.
Okay, thank you very much.
No, thank you. Guys, thank you so much. You've been such a fun group and so engaged. And thank you for sharing your story ideas. And I will get back to you, not tonight because I have got to go make dinner for my kids, but I will get back to you soon with my thoughts on those. Any questions at all, or if you want to, I know some of you do have further questions. Well, that was just my little sum up slide. Then do seriously think about booking this 15-minute email game plan with you, because we're going to have a look at what's working and what isn't, pinpoint the area you most need to focus on, and look at clear next steps. So, and it doesn't matter if you haven't got an existing email list, sorry. We can just take a look at your business and think about what would be a good start. So yeah, let me know if you want to take me up on that. That's just some more blah blah stuff about who it's for and who it's not for, but I'm pretty sure you guys would all be yeah, you would get something out of it. So yeah, without any more further ado, thank you all so much for coming. And yeah, hopefully see you on another workshop, and have a wonderful night. Thank you. And thank you to Kerry Ann as well for being here. Thank you all. Goodbye.